What is going to happen at Jordan-Hare this weekend? Apparently, we are not mentally prepared. Let's try and get there. Zac Blackerby, Locked On Auburn, here to discuss. Do you have any rationale why Georgia is just a 3.5-point favorite against Auburn that hasn't won an SEC game yet?
Yeah. I mean, I can give you the argument. I don't know if I fully believe it, but allow me to give you the argument.
Please.
Is what Hugh Freeze has said publicly, which I think it's okay if I say this. I don't think the head coach should be saying this, but like you go on the road to two top 10 opponents, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and it's close. And it's close with you having like no offensive success whatsoever, no offensive identity. You didn't do anything, but the defense was so good it kept you in it. And you did just enough on offense where you had a few moments where like you had a shot. Right? You get a bye week. And there's all this push for Hugh Freeze to run the ball more, whether it's with Jackson Arnold or Jeremiah Cobb or Damari Alston. All three are effective runners of the football. I think the hope is like if you have just an okay offense with this defense, you can beat almost anyone in college football with what they've done so far based off of that. Also, Cam Newton retirement night. They're retiring his jersey. It's going to be electric. It's at night. And, also, like, once again, I'm just making the case. I don't know if I fully believe it. I'm just making the case. And then the other one would be, in these types of games, you keeps him in it. He doesn't win them, but it comes down to the last drive. I mean, Alabama and Georgia at Jordan-Hare Stadium, his first year. We saw a few instances of it last year. So he keeps them in it. He just hasn't been able to fully close the door and say, hey, you're not going to come back and beat us. Missouri last year, Oklahoma. So I mean, we'll see if he's able to do it this week. But that's the argument. That once again, is that all valid? I don't know. We'll find out on Saturday.
Yeah, I think at home, off a bye, good defense. I suppose I still think 3.5 is a low. I would have thought 5-ish. I would have thought.
I like to guess it beforehand on my reaction show.
Yeah.
I was thinking 9.5.
Whoa. That's
I was thinking
a
hair over a touchdown. I was thinking 8.5, 9.5, maybe 7.5.
I don't know if I would have gone that high at Auburn. I don't know if I would have gone that high. By the way, this is probably just a me thing, but you said Cam Newton, and then the first three letters of your next word were R-E-T, and I thought you were about to pull the wildest NCAA lawsuit for eligibility story and break it right here on Locked On
awesome?
College. That would have been something.
We're expecting Cam Newton to suit up.
Yeah.
I'd pick Auburn then, my guy. That's for sure.
That's all Auburn needs, really. But when you dive into this game, Zach, the Georgia offense to me is more impressive than the Georgia defense so far this season. And it's not that I don't think Georgia can be good on that side of the ball. I just watch them each week and feel like, boy, they made a couple mistakes against Alabama that cost them, but they feel like they're just further ahead over there. Do you think there's an opportunity for, and this is a weird thing to say, but Vegas clearly doesn't think it's that wild. At home, off a bye against Georgia, is this an opportunity for the Auburn offense to get into a flow?
Yeah, it is. And because it's not about talent, right? Normally we talk about okay, where's the mismatch? Cam Coleman's a mismatch. Eric Singleton's a mismatch. Malcolm Simmons being the third receiver on the field is a mismatch. You just haven't been able to figure out how to get them all the football evenly and the balance between running and passing. You have the personnel to run the football. So yes, it could happen. It absolutely could happen. You mentioned the Georgia offense. Gunnar Stockton has not started a game in an environment like this before. How much of the game
he went to Tennessee this year.
Okay. But that game was early, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't a night game. This is a night game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean that's different, but
I think Jordan-Hare will be louder. That's just my prediction.
I will not come on these airwaves and throw shade at Rocky Top. You may do whatever you like.
I'm not throwing shade at Rocky Top. I think Auburn has an incredible home atmosphere, despite what their team has done on the field. Auburn fans show up, and it's Is it an expensive ticket because of all the Cam Newton stuff? Like they're there. They're there to be excited and root on the Tigers.
Okay. So give me 2 ways that Auburn wins this game.
They make it messy, and the Auburn defense does what they're certainly capable of doing, and they make it where the Jackson Arnold and Hugh Freeze, they don't have to score a ton of points. They find a way to win this game 17-14 or something like that. That's one of them. The other is the Georgia offensive line is banged up. They have not started the same group of offensive linemen, I believe, in back-to-back games this year. Auburn's defensive front, I think, is good with Keldrick Falk and Kieron Crawford. Malik Blockton's coming on. I think that's a matchup that favors Auburn. And so making Gunnar Stockton uncomfortable, I think, is something that could happen.
How badly does Hugh Freeze need to win this game?
That's such a tricky question. Can you add more context to that question? Are you asking the firing question? Are you asking if he's coaching for his job on Saturday?
What will the average Auburn fan's mood be if Auburn loses this game 21-17?
Another close one. So they're frustrated, right? And they're going to be frustrated when in that situation, Hugh Freeze would go and say, we're so close. We're so close. And it's like, you've been saying that since you got here. So in that situation, they would obviously be crushed, frustrated. There's different ways that 21-17 could look for sure. Did you blow a lead like you have in other years? Did you crawl back, or is it this back and forth thing? I think there's different ways that could look. But this notion that he's coaching for his job, I don't agree with.
I don't think this week, but if it's another loss and you start SEC play 0-3, I know it's a tough start to conference play.
Here's where I have to be emotionally and logically consistent, Spencer. I picked Auburn to go 8-4 this year, and I picked them to lose these 3 games and then to go on a run, because it does get easier. It doesn't get easy, but the path does get easier after this week. And we all talked about that throughout the season. It's like, if you could just survive the first half of the schedule. Now, I would argue they haven't really survived it. But if you can just, do what you can, because I think like what they did against A&M or Oklahoma, I think it's good enough to beat Missouri at home. I think it's good enough to beat Arkansas and Fayetteville. I think it's good enough to beat Kentucky at home. Vandy, let's see. In Nashville, let's see what that looks like. And then obviously Mercer. So I can't say like, hey, I picked Auburn to go 8-4, and I would be happy with 8-4. But I also picked them to start 0-3 in conference play. I can't say like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. Now, one thing I did think though was that the offense would be clicking. Like it looks worse, I think, than just the record. And in year 3, I think it's safe to do that when you haven't won either of your first 2 years. And then you continue losing, and like there's no style to it. There's no personality. There's no belief in the system or proof of concept, is this term we'd like to throw out. That's the gap that I have a hard time filling.
I just wonder how long can you keep that fight, that drive in the locker room at 0-3? I know it's not a super favorable spot, but in year 3, I don't think it's unreasonable if you're an Auburn fan saying we should have at least one SEC win after these first 3 games. If things are going well, you're 2-0, and if things are going perfectly, obviously you're 3-0 in that spot. I don't think expecting a win. I know that you aren't in that particular camp and you weren't coming into the season. Totally get that. I just don't know if every Auburn fan is going to feel that way, and that they'd be illogical for saying, boy, we should have one right now, because I think you're much better than Arkansas. I would not sleep on Missouri. I think in that conversation, you just
Missouri, and we're going to learn a lot about Missouri this week.
Yes, we will.
Right. So, maybe we have a similar conversation or continue this conversation next week on this show. But, yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's worth talking about Missouri right now. This is going to be the first time they leave Columbia. Like, I think that matters. Like, some of their stats, I think, are a little inflated by situation and who they've played. I'm not saying they're bad. I think they're certainly worthy of the ranking. I think they're very good. Eli Drinkwitz has quietly built a wagon up there.
A little bit.
And I don't think he gets enough credit for it. So, like, I'm not dissing Missouri here, but I do think from a matchup standpoint, if Auburn can get an offense going, they had the defense to keep it close against anybody.
I'm saving my pick for Friday. I got to think on this one. Sometimes I talk about
It's
a game.
Weird.
It is.
Everything in me says pick Georgia, but there's some weird thing inside of me where it's like, I think Auburn can do this. I haven't made an official pick yet.
When you go against Vegas, it doesn't usually end well. Like 3.5.
Spot on with Auburn this year too.
3.5 tells me, boy, do they know something?
They're begging you. They're begging you to take Georgia.
I think they.
Vegas doesn't lose very often.
This might be not often. No one wins 100% of the time. No one wins 100% of the time. We'll see if I give Auburn the kiss of death and make them a best bet later this week on.
Let me know.
On the show. I will. Zac Blackerby, Locked on Auburn. Great as always. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Love you a long time.